What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dispatch. This is the weekly live stream that we do over here on Tales from the Shelf, where we break down all of the headlines in physical media and movie news that I find to be interesting. So, getting right into it. First things first on the docket here. We got a new teaser for the Superman film coming in July 11th. It's a very quick teaser. It doesn't show much more that the original trailer doesn't show us. This is it. This is the only one of the only things that's new is this shot here of like Nicholas Holt getting off a helicopter, looking pretty fly. And then I think that might be a different shot of the kaiju. And the main thing that had people kind of buzzing a little bit online is this shot right here of him flying. People were kind of criticizing the way it looks, saying that the CGI is a little wonky. What's up, Ken? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you in here. So people were criticizing the CGI, saying it looks weird. I personally think it looks fine. The one thing people did mention is that this kind of looks like a deep fake of like David Corenswet's face over his own face, like he's like wearing a mask of his own face. I don't know. It might look better in the actual film. We'll see. I'm still excited for this movie. I think this is going to be a good movie. Next we got a new teaser trailer for Sinners, which I'm going to pause because I'm not watching this trailer. I have not seen any trailers for this movie yet, and I don't want to see any. So if you want to see this, maybe watch it after the show. If you're excited for this, it's coming out April 18th. I'm excited for this movie. Eli, you definitely could be, man. You guys look pretty similar. I'm not going to lie. I mean that in the best possible way. Yeah, so not too much to report here. We're getting some more promo material for Sinners. I'm excited for this movie. I think it looks like it's going to be really good. Moving right along, there's a new Adam Wingard film coming out called Onslaught, which is a sick title. And it's a Godzilla x Kong reunion because we got Rebecca Hall coming back as well as Dan Stevens. So I'm excited because Adam Wingard has been kind of stuck doing these Godzilla movies for a little while now, and I think he's got a lot of potential to do more. I really like he did The Guest, right? Yeah, he did The Guest, and he did You're Next. So I'm excited for this. This looks to be a return to form for him. Saw the Sinners trailer yesterday when I saw Companion and it showed everything. Yeah, Ken, I'm actually at the point now where I'm literally getting up and walking out of the theater when a trailer comes on for a movie that I'm excited for. I was doing it with Companion, oddly enough, and I've been doing it with Sinners too. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not doing that in 2025. I'm valuing my theatrical trips a little bit more. So anyway, new Adam Wingard film looks dope, just based on these people that I know are in it, and it's an A24 film. I forgot to mention that action thriller. So that should be sick. Next up, for any Black Mirror fans out there, we got our first look at Kristen Milioti in the USS Callister sequel episode of Black Mirror. This was one of my favorite episodes of this show, but I do think Black Mirror has kind of gone off a cliff. It's nowhere near as good as it used to be. Yeah, my problem is I like to be early to things, and then is like I like getting there early, go to the bathroom, get my snacks and everything, get my seat, in case anyone tries to steal it. So I'm okay with getting up and just walking out real quick. It's inconvenient, but it's it's worth it in my opinion. Yeah, theaters where they get you, man. Like, it's one thing when they are announced online and you can just choose not to watch it, but when you're literally sitting in a theater where they're playing, your only option is to just kind of get up, which I understand not a lot of people are going to do. So yeah, this USS Callister basically was like a feature-length film. I think it was like literally 90 minutes long. Really cool episode. It kind of seems desperate to me that they're kind of going back to this well. Black Mirror's never done a sequel to another episode before. So yeah, we'll see if this is good. It's so funny. I literally did this. I stuck my fingers up for the companion trailer. I think before Presents, like 2 weeks ago now. I'm literally sitting there just humming loud as fuck into my own eardrums so that I couldn't hear. What's up, Holland Oates, man? Good to see you. Season 5 was not great, but I thought season 6 was one of their best. See, it very well could be. I kind of tuned out. I stopped watching it around that time just because I heard it wasn't great. So, but maybe it has gotten better. We'll see. I'm willing to give it another chance. So, maybe this will be good. I like Kristen Milioti. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. This is a weird headline. Rose Byrne and Conan O'Brien have a brutal film coming out called If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I don't know a lot about this. I just kind of added this headline because it seemed interesting. I didn't really... I'm assuming Conan O'Brien is like acting in this film. Yeah. Which I've never really seen him do before. So that's interesting. And apparently this left audiences devastated. So seems interesting. The usage of the word brutal has me kind of intrigued. How you doing, Acres of Movies? Good to see you in here. Thanks for joining us. Conan's Dark Side, probably pretty twisted, I bet. Yeah, I mean, I really like Rose Byrne. Conan O'Brien, I have no idea how to feel about this, but it's interesting. So I'll be keeping my eyes on this. I don't have much more on it aside from that. Oop, forgot to click on the banner. So next up, we have... There's this horror film coming out from Neon. Neon's been on fire lately, guys. Neon is like killing the game. This guy, Michael Shanks, not familiar with you, Michael, but it's got Allison Brie and Dave Franco, who I believe are a married couple, if I'm not mistaken. And the film currently holds a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes. So, again, just another movie to keep your eyes out for. I don't have a ton on this. We're getting to the Scream 7 news here in a second, guys, if that's what you're here for. We will be getting to that very shortly. But, yeah, I just think it's cool. Neon, Allison Brie. I thought Dave Franco might have been like considered problematic at one point, but I guess it's okay. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of like who you're allowed to be a fan of anymore because everyone's... I know James Franco was definitely doing some problematic things, but yeah, going to be keeping an eye out for this movie as well, coming later this year. All right, so let's get into the Scream 7 casting news. Yeah, so we got a lot to go over here. First things first, we got Scott Foley. So this was announced earlier in the day, January 30th, so about 3 days ago now. And everyone was like, huh, that's weird, because, he's dead. And, this is kind of odd. And I read this and my initial reaction was that, this would be something I would have liked to have seen like in the movie, rather than like as a headline before a year before I sit down. I don't even know when this movie's supposed to come out. Next year. So like, it's just annoying that we know things like this. And it's like to the point where it's like impossible to avoid information like this. Like you just kind of have to not be online. But he's dead. So, Roman Bridger, which leads people to speculate how in what way is Scott Foley coming back, right? Let's see. I had another headline here. Mark Consuelos as well has been added to the cast. See right here. I don't know who this Mark Consuelos guy is. I may have seen him in things, but yeah, so this was kind of like a nothing headline, right? Like, cool, whatever. This cast is extremely overstuffed. Like, they have announced so many people for this movie to the point where I think it's going to be it's going to be a balancing act to kind of juggle all of this casting news. But all right, so let's get to the main thing, right? Yeah, I'm very surprised as well. I'm very surprised. But I'm also not, because the whole thing with this movie has been a mess, because obviously they had all the stuff that went down with Melissa Barrera. And that's messy. I don't agree with the way that Spyglass handled that. I think it's really dumb. Because clearly the end of Scream 6 was not intended to be the end of that story. Clearly they had more in mind. But with her gone and without Jenna Ortega, they have to overcompensate by bringing back Nev. They're appealing to the diehard fans of the franchise by having Kevin Williamson direct. General audiences won't care about that, but the diehard fans will like that. And they're bringing back Chad and Mindy, but they're not bringing back Melissa and Jenna Ortega. So it's like that's pretty weird, right? Like that would be like if you did a sequel to The Force Awakens, but you didn't bring back Daisy Ridley or Adam Driver, but you brought back Poe Dameron and John Boyega. Like, it's just odd to me. I don't agree with it. I think it's really dumb. They're definitely trying to overcompensate and like save whatever is left of this movie. But so they're bringing back Matthew Lillard, who people have been. The fandom of Scream is kind of split, right? Because there are people who don't want him to come back, and there are people who do want him to come back. Personally, I've never been a super diehard Scream fan. I really, I think it's fine. The first movie's great, and then it's been a case of like diminishing returns ever since then. So this has led people to speculate how they're going to bring back not only Roman Bridger, but Stu as well. So people are speculating that it's going to be first, the movie itself is going to be like utilizing AI in its plot and talking about how AI has been very prominent in the film industry, which is in line with the meta nature of Scream. So the killer could be using AI to like somehow bring back past killers from different movies, which like I don't hate as a premise on its face. Like that sounds like it could be fun. That could be a cool thing to do if it's done right. So like that could explain how they bring back these dead people, right? Which is like cool. That's dope. But I just hate the fact that I know already. Like the fact that you've announced this ahead of the release of the film, there's no other way to interpret that other than trying to drum up excitement for this movie and get people in the door ahead of its release, which like, I mean, I don't agree with that. It tells me that you're not confident enough with what you've already announced. Just the fact that it's a Scream movie, like there is a certain percentage of the population who will be seated just because it is a Scream movie. So, and then the other way that people are speculating that they could bring him back is that they're going to do like a Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but with Scream, where everyone's playing themselves, which I don't think that's what they're going to do, because that gets way too messy, and it's also not satisfying from a narrative perspective, because you have all these unfinished storylines. They either have something super interesting and unique planned or nothing at all, and they're just desperately trying to build anticipation. Yeah, I mean, with Kevin Williamson directing, and I think he's writing as well. I could be wrong about that, but with him in charge, like, he's kind of been there since the beginning, and he's the next closest thing to Craven as far as like, the OGs of this franchise. So I'm inclined to want to give him the benefit of the doubt as far as how this is all going to play out. But like, if nothing else, I'm very curious about how this is going to be handled, and like, clearly I'll be there day one. But yeah, man, like, there's just this whole thing. It's just very messy. Like, ever since this movie's been announced, but like, Christopher Landon was supposed to direct this movie at one point, and then after the Barrera stuff happened, he made some tweets, and then he got fired from the project because he said some dumb shit. So like, it's this whole thing has just been a mess, an absolute fucking. And I don't care if you're the biggest Scream fan in the world. There's no way you could not admit that this has been the biggest fucking mess of an announcement, of all time. So I want Lillard to stay dead. I mean, I kind of do as well, but like, the possibilities of him being alive, that could lead to some really bonkers storylines that, for me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing them just get absolutely weird with it. Like, I'm not invested really in Scream at all. Excuse me. I really don't care too much. I find this whole release campaign to be very interesting, like, from a marketing perspective. But like, yeah, I don't know. It could be fun to see what dumb way they decide to bring him back. The flashback, yeah, like, it's not satisfying to see him come back in a flashback. Like, people want to say that he survived that TV, and people want to see, like, how did he survive that TV, assuming that he is actually alive, and they don't decide to go the AI route that I alluded to earlier. Where does Scream rank for you and other horror movie franchises? It would be pretty down there, if I'm being honest. It would be down there. I don't know. If I did like my top 10, it might be it might not even crack the top 10, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of it for Scream. Like, let me know what you think about all this. Yeah, this shit's just been an absolute mess, dude. What's up, Spook House Podcast? Good to see you. Yeah, Mason Gooding survived being stabbed over 50 times so they can allow him to survive a TV. Yeah, that was like, I remember eye rolling pretty significantly when he's like totally fine. I'm like, okay. Like, when you do shit like that, you just completely, like, that moment where he got stabbed by the two ghost faces was so powerful. But it's like, you want to have your cake and eat it too, because you want that cool moment, but then you also just completely deflate any of like the significance of that moment when he's alive. Like, they just want to have their cake and eat it too. Like, they're kind of spineless in that way. If you were worth $4 billion, would you buy Spyglass? No, I would. If I was worth $4 billion, I would probably spend my money on something else. I don't really like Scream enough to buy it for $150 million. His sister survived some crazy stuff too. Yeah. And he got stabbed multiple times in Scream 5. Dude, Mason Gooding is like the 50 Cent of the Scream franchise. Like, you just cannot take him out. He just keeps coming back. All right, so that's kind of it for Scream. Let me know what you guys think about this, though. I'm very interested to hear everyone's thoughts about this. Jake Gyllenhaal is officially set to star in a supernatural romantic thriller directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So, like, that's cool. And then also, the film is based on an original story co-created by Shyamalan and novelist Nicholas Sparks. That's the Notebook guy, for those who don't know. He's famous for writing all sorts of romance novels, but the Notebook is like his most famous one. So people have said that Shyamalan's like coming back a little bit after a string of really bad movies. Um, I didn't really care for Trap. I thought Trap had a lot of potential, and it didn't really quite live up to that for me. But like, I like Jake Gyllenhaal, and this premise seems really interesting. And like, if nothing else, Shyamalan is so unpredictable. Like what he does from movie to movie. Like this is so out of left field. Like I guarantee nobody could have ever predicted that this would be his next project, right? Um, so seeing him work with Shyamalan is dope, or with Gyllenhaal is cool. Like that's a pairing that we've never seen. So this looks interesting. This looks interesting. This is coming to us from Discussing Film, by the way. I'm trying to remember to make it a point to kind of tell you where we're getting these articles from. Obviously, you can see it on the screen, but I want to also shout out these sources as well. So, don't get your hopes up. Yeah, I'm not, because Shyamalan has really let me down in the past. But also, I'm at the point now where like I don't have super high expectations. Like the floor for Shyamalan is like just fine. Like I'll still see whatever he does, but I'm like going into it, I have no fucking clue what it's gonna be like. Like I don't really set myself up to be let down too much just because I'm, Old was really bad. I didn't like Old at all. Knock at the Cabin was fine, incredibly forgettable movie. And then Trap left me more frustrated than anything I've seen from him in a while. So, what's up, Bud Nelson? Good to see you, brother. I'll see anything Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, I said that, and then I watched the Roadhouse movie from last year, and that movie fucking sucks. So, Gyllenhaal is not infallible. Like, he's perfectly capable of being in a really bad movie. But this pairing, I like this pairing. I don't know. I'm all in on Shyamalan until the very end. Yeah, see, like, I have so much respect for Shyamalan, even if I don't love all of his movies. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with him. That sounds more interesting than anything he's done recently. I agree. A supernatural romantic thriller is like, that's three crazy ass words right next to each other. So I'm kind of in. I don't know if the chat is working. I will see if it is just this device. Chat is working. I'm trying to get to everyone's comments, but I have to pick and choose sometimes because I'm trying to just get through all these headlines. Chat works. Yep. Jake been letting us down recently. Yeah, he's not perfect, man. He's not perfect, but he's got to get a check every now and then. So should Oz Perkins make a new Psycho? Probably not. I doubt that that's something he would want to do. Yeah, just because that's kind of his dad's thing, and I doubt that he would want to like necessarily just kind of run it back, just because it would like be cool for fans, I guess. So we got some casting news for Nolan's new The Odyssey film. So we got a bunch of people been announced for this movie. So we got Benny Safdie, who appeared as physicist Edward Teller in Oppenheimer, reuniting with Nolan for The Odyssey. So this cast is like getting more and more stacked by the day. I would imagine for many people are very excited about this movie, myself included. And I love Benny Safdie. I think he's a really good actor, as well as director. Him and his brother Josh. So that's cool. We got Benny, and then here we go. We got 4 people coming here. The big one being Elliot Page. They obviously worked together on Inception way back in the day, as well as Himesh Patel, Bill Irwin, and Samantha Morton. I gotta say, I'm not too familiar with these 3, but I think it's really cool that Nolan is bringing back Elliot Page. I know Elliot Page has been in like The Umbrella Academy, which is a show that I have not watched, but I hear that they're very good in it and that the show itself is pretty solid. So this cast is crazy. I mean, this is 4 people right here, just boom, automatically in there. And I'm sure this is going to be a long ass movie too. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this movie was like 3.5 hours. So I'm not worried about the cast being too overstuffed because I'm sure everyone's going to have a lot of time to really breathe and stuff. And then I think we have one more Odyssey article. Yeah, yeah. John Leguizamo has joined the cast of the Odyssey, which this one I didn't see coming. Um, Man, what parts of Odyssey are you most excited? That's a hard question. Um, Never been more excited for an Nolan film. I agree, man. I think this is gonna be sick as fuck. Um, it's been a long time since I've read the Odyssey. I'm gonna have to reread it because I don't. Um, because I don't remember much about it. So I need to reread it for sure. I have not been to Sicily. But yeah, I think it's sick that John Leguizamo is going to be in this. I think he's a really cool actor. I'm very curious about what role he's going to be in. I have no idea what he's going to play, or any of these people for that matter. Let's see what is next. Oh, this is kind of I don't have a banner for this. So I had not seen this movie, Rami and Michelle's high school reunion, but apparently people like it. It's got like a cult following, I guess. There's a sequel coming. So I'm not so much interested in this movie itself, but more so the phenomenon surrounding like legacy sequels, because that's essentially what this is. Like, this movie's from, I don't even know when. I think it's from like the 90s or the early 2000s, just judging by this image. So I just think it's fascinating how, like, we are fully in the era of the legacy sequel. Everything is getting a legacy sequel, from Top Gun Maverick to fucking Rami and Michelle's high school reunion. So if you're a fan of this movie, then you're in luck because they're bringing you a sequel. So I just think it's really funny how literally anything and everything with the slightest of cult followings is liable to get a sequel. So just very funny that we're in this era. Can't wait to see that Hydra. Yeah, dude, this movie's gonna be a VFX fucking extravaganza. I liked Violent Night a lot. I thought that movie was a lot of fun. And John Leguizamo was fun in it. This is an article I really liked. Coralie Fargeau was in talks to direct Black Widow, but decided to focus on writing the substance instead. I mean, is there any headline out there that makes you happier than this one? I'm so glad we live in the timeline where Coralie Fargeau instead decided to focus on just writing a movie. She like, this movie wasn't even being made yet at the time. Probably didn't even have distribution. So she turned down what would presumably would have been a very well-paying gig to direct a Marvel film. But she said, fuck that. I'm going to write this crazy-ass body horror movie, which is now nominated for 5 Oscars. So suck on that. Suck on that, Marvel. Yeah, we're going to talk about another Marvel thing later on, and how they, like, the Marvel machine, like, sucks up all these really talented writers and actors and directors and gets them to do their fucking shitty ass sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I personally don't care for these Marvel things. If you're a Marvel person, that's dope. They can get some yes man who's gonna, because these Marvel movies aren't even really directed by people. They're directed by committee. That's why none of them feel distinct or anything. So I'm super happy that Coralie decided to not do fucking Black Widow. So, let's see. We talked about this movie on last month's episode of Talks from the Shelf when we were talking about the 2025 preview. Austin Butler's got this new movie coming out called Caught Stealing. I believe this is the Darren Aronofsky movie. This is coming out in August, and it took the release date of Insidious 6, which has been delayed to next year. So anyone who was excited for Insidious 6, I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's not coming for a little while. And yeah, this caught stealing movie looks cool. We don't have a trailer or anything for it yet, but Darren Aronofsky's, he's fine. He's cool. He's kind of hit or miss for me. But I'm excited. I like Austin Butler, so keep your eyes out for that. All right. Let's see. Oh, so this is something right here. So this movie Magazine Dreams was announced a while ago, and it stars Jonathan Majors. And obviously Jonathan Majors had all that legal stuff going on. I'm not super informed on everything that went down. I did not follow that case super religiously. So I really have I don't really know how to rule on this. I'm pretty sure someone said that the woman involved in that case dropped the charges against Jonathan Majors. However, I believe the damage was already done. He's already been dropped by Marvel. And I presume that's also why it took this movie to take so long to kind of start to come out. But this is coming out in theaters March 21st. I think it got distribution from somewhere. Yeah, I don't know what was the holdup necessarily, but I'm assuming it had to do with his legal problems. So that being said, though, whether or not he's an awful person, I have no clue. He might have just kind of gotten caught up in some shit that really painted him in a bad light. I do not know. I do not claim to know. What I will say is that the trailer for this movie, which I did watch because I was very curious about it. Normally, I'm trying not to watch a ton of trailers, but I have been curious about this movie, and this movie looks really good. I'm just going to say it. The movie looks really good. So I don't know if this is going to kind of be the start of like a Jonathan Majors redemption tour or something like that, but yeah, I'm not going to play it for you here, but if you're curious about it, the trailer is out, and Majors looks phenomenal in it. I mean, he not only physically, like the dude is yoked, but like the movie itself looks good. So I don't know if some of you maybe haven't even heard of this before, but yeah, this is coming. So let's see. We got a first look at Oscar Isaac in the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie. Not a lot to go on here. He looks like Victor Frankenstein. I think that's his first name. But he looks the part. But man, I fucking hate that this is a Netflix movie. I really do. I think that sucks. Release your shit in Netflix or in theaters, Netflix. Release it in theaters and then put it on your fucking streaming service. I'm sorry for cursing so much. I just wish that I could see this movie in theaters, man. It's Guillermo del Toro, Oscar Isaac. I'm pretty sure Jacob Elordi's in this too. Like, just the fact that I have to watch this in my house sucks. Like, I'm not excited about it, but I'm excited about the movie, obviously, but it just stinks. And it's probably the only way Guillermo could have gotten this movie made. Is through Netflix. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. Apparently there's a rumor that we might be getting that Nolan already has another movie planned after the Odyssey. And it's called Die Early, and it's starring Robert Downey. So it would be a reunion for them from Oppenheimer. Smaller scaled film described as a mind-bending thriller, would start production in early 2026. So it sounds like he would be going right from Odyssey right into this. And the only reason that, I mean, I don't know World of Real updates. I don't know how reliable they are. This is the only other place I've seen this. But it would make perfect sense for Nolan to want to do another thing with Downey. That makes perfect sense to me. And obviously a mind-bending thriller, very on brand for Nolan. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how realistic that is. I'm all for them reuniting, though. I think that'd be sick. Some Stranger Things 5. headline here. Duffer Brothers say that the final season is like 8 blockbuster movies. We had captured over 650 hours of footage, so needless to say, this is our biggest and most ambitious season yet. I have mixed feelings on Stranger Things, just as a whole. I really, really liked season 4. I thought it was the best season. And like Stranger Things was having like a moment culturally. Like it was huge. It was like bigger than it had ever been when that season was coming out. But you know, again, Netflix is like this whole like binge model that they do. I mean, I imagine they'll probably drop 4 episodes and then they'll drop the other 4 like a month and a half later, like they kind of did with season 4. So yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be cool, but this is kind of embodying like this is the embodiment of I did a whole video a while back where I kind of talk about why I think TV sucks now. And like Stranger Things is like Stranger Things is like the kind of the embodiment of that, because it's like what happened to the era where we got like 22 episode seasons of a show? Instead, now we get 8 episodes, and it took them like 2.5, 3 years to film, where we used to get a season of a show every year. And like it's not even TV anymore. Like it's really not. Like it's so the antithesis of like what TV used to be. So like that's a whole separate diatribe. Like that has nothing to do with the quality. Like it'll probably be sweet. It'll probably be dope. But I just kind of hate that this is where we're at now, because Stranger Things is so successful that it leads other people to kind of want to like emulate that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Let's see. Where are we at? Yeah, so we gotta look at this new Ben Affleck and Matt Damon movie, Joe Carnahan's R.I.P. Film follows a group of Miami cops who discover millions in cash in a derelict stash house. Not a ton of thoughts on this one. It's another Netflix thing. So like this is the kind of movie that I'm cool with coming straight to Netflix. I'm pretty biased because like this has Netflix movie written all over it. Whereas like I think Guillermo del Toro deserves to be in theaters. No disrespect to this Joe Carnahan fella. I don't know who he is. But Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, always cool to see them reuniting. Yeah, I don't have too much more on that. Let's see. No, that's what I just clicked on. So we got David Johnson starring in Frank Ocean's directorial debut. Frank Ocean, if you're not familiar, sorry, you guys in the comments gotta like, don't, yeah, don't do that. Sorry, that's kind of distracting. David Johnson, Alien Romulus, he's very good in that movie. He's his performance was so good in that movie that I'm kind of he's on my watch list. Like anything he's in, I'm gonna check it out probably because of him. Assuming that it seems like a movie that I would like. Frank Ocean's a musician I followed for a while, ever since he was in like the Odd Future kind of ensemble. We don't know anything about the plot still, but I think it's cool as fuck that he's directing a movie. Makes sense because he certainly doesn't care about making music anymore. So yeah, this seems like a great match. I'm excited for this. Not really sure what to anticipate, but looks cool. January 29th, 4 days ago, Damien Leone announced that Terrifier 4 is officially coming. He also says that this will be the conclusion. So this is going to be the last Terrifier movie, at least from Damien Leone. Who knows? Or Leone. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So this is pretty exciting. Let's see. He also adds that he will finally reveal Art's origin in this entry. So that's cool. He's definitely been leaving a little trail of breadcrumbs ever since the second movie as to like what's going on with him. So yeah, I'm excited. I liked Terrifier 3. I thought it was cool. Yeah. So that'll be coming soon. Probably 2026 if I had to guess. So I was looking this up because I was trying to find this Terrifier article, and then I found this one that I wasn't really searching for, but I found it. And in this article, Stephen King praised Mike Flanagan's take on The Dark Tower. And this has been something that, similar to Dune, has been widely considered like unadaptable just because the scale and the scope of it and like the things that happen. I'm currently reading Dark Tower. I'm on the 4th book, and this thing would have to have an insane budget because the places that they go in it and what they do in these and just the length that it would have to be, it would be a massive undertaking. They made that movie like in 2013. The movie sucks. The movie's not good. It's dog shit. So Mike Flanagan's been tossed around as far as like Dark Tower for a while. He's someone that I could see doing it well. And I mean, frankly, I couldn't think of anyone else better suited. He's already done a ton of other Stephen King properties. Granted, none of them are the scale of The Dark Tower. But yeah, Flanagan also has this movie coming out this year called The Life of Chuck, which is based on a Stephen King property. It's not horror, but it looks really good. I'm excited to see that. So hopefully we finally can get Flanagan's Dark Tower like on the way soon. Excuse me. Flanagan's got a ton of shit. He's working all the time. He's constantly doing something. But in this same article, King also mentions that he's working on a 3rd Talisman novel, which is a really good book of his. It's kind of underrated, I think. It doesn't really get talked about as much alongside his other work, but like the Talisman is really, really cool. And he also did a sequel for that called Black House, which I have not read. And he co-wrote both of these books, by the way, with a guy named Peter Straub, who's another author. And he's working on Talisman 3, which is cool. So I kind of need to get caught up. I need to read Black House because it's I think it's interesting that he's coming back to this franchise so long after the fact. Yeah, he does a lot of different stuff. Like I like it because I like all his work, but I kind of wish he would just focus on this Dark Tower thing because, that would be the most exciting thing for me personally. We're coming towards the end of our headlines here, guys. Let's see. We're getting a Fantastic Four trailer on Tuesday, so 2 days from now. So this is, I'm excited for this, I guess. I've been pretty out on Marvel for a while now, but this has the potential to be really cool. So I'm excited to see the trailer. I think the trailer will really kind of make or break just how interested in it I am. So, yeah. Let's see. We got Dan Stevens is in talks to return for the Godzilla X Kong sequel. This one's not being directed by Adam Wingard because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, he's doing his own movie, totally unrelated from this shit. So I will watch the trailer for this. It depends on the movie. As far as superhero shit goes, I don't care. I'll watch the trailer. I'm not that invested because, like I said, I just don't. I'm not as into it. This is mainly a thing with horror films for me, if I'm being honest, because horror films suffer from this the most, where horror films, they tell you the whole plot. But it's a case by case basis. If it's a movie that I'm really excited to see, I will not watch the trailer. Fantastic Four, I don't really give too much of a shit. I'm still excited for the movie, but I just, because of the nature of the genre as a superhero movie, I just don't think it matters as much. But yeah, not really much of a headline here. Dan Stevens, I'm glad he's working. Dude kind of was on the fringes for a while, but I think he had 3 movies come out last year. He was in the Godzilla movie, he was in Cuckoo, and he was in one more movie. He had 3 movies come out last year. So I'm glad the guy's working, because ever since I seen him in The Guest, I was like, yo, this guy's got the sauce. So this Netflix show, The Sandman from Neil Gaiman, has been canceled. I never watched this show. I heard it was pretty cool. It's based on graphic novels by this guy, Neil Gaiman. Apparently, this guy, Neil Gaiman, is kind of the worst. Apparently, he's very, very problematic and did some really fucked up shit. So, yeah. I think it's unfortunate because I assume this is taking away work from these actors and these people who worked on this show because of the actions of this guy. That's 100% the reason this was canceled, right? Because of, all this stuff that's come out about him. So it's unfortunate in that regard, but I understand because it's just super bad optics. Like, you can't continue with making this show with, everything coming out about this guy. So, yeah, sucks if you're a fan of that show, I guess. Audition is getting a remake from the original Speak No Evil director. So this kind of goes in line with what I was saying about Rami and Michelle's high school reunion, funnily enough. Just the fact that literally anything with any amount of a following can and will get a sequel at some point. So I find it interesting because this is a Danish horror director who's tackling this film from Takashi Miike, who is, I believe, Japanese. So it'll be a little different just as far as like Audition is very much rooted in like Japanese culture. So it'll be interesting to see it adapted by a Danish filmmaker. But ultimately, I just don't see with many properties that get remade. I could say, yeah, I don't see the need for this. That's kind of a blanket statement, but until I see the movie, only then will I know if it was kind of, for me anyway, I can only speak for myself, but only then will I know if it's worthwhile or not. So I don't know. This is an odd headline to me, but it's a very niche thing. Audition is like pretty niche even amongst horror fans. So yeah, I don't know. This guy Harris Dickinson, who I first saw in The Iron Claw, and then he had Baby Girl come out this past year with Nicole Kidman. Dude's on the come up. He's definitely popping off right now. So of course Marvel is like, yo, you want to be Cyclops in our MCU movie? Like, this is what they do. This is what they tried to do with Coralie Fargeau, where, they find these super talented people and they're like, hey, do you want to be in our fucking Marvel movie? And I know I'm sounding super negative, but it's like, if he does this is a commitment. Like, he's gonna be involved in this forever. because it's not just going to be one movie. It's going to be multiple movies. So, that could potentially lead to him not doing other more unique things, more artistic things. If I can sound so pretentious, but whatever. As far as the role, I think he's probably a good fit. He's young. They probably are trying to go younger with this cast of X-Men. And that's the thing, right? Multiple paychecks guaranteed. So I'm not upset at this dude getting paid. And I would never begrudge someone for taking on a role like this. Because you can still do the smaller, more independent films as well as these. Like you can do both. I just hate to see someone's talents not go to waste because, look, we still haven't seen X-Men in the MCU. They bought this shit back in 2019. It's been like 5 years, and we still have not seen any X-Men progress really at all. They've been hinting at it and teasing it, just kind of edging us, but they still haven't done it. We still don't even know who all the X-Men are going to be. Like, they haven't really announced shit as far as this X-Men stuff. So, like, I could wind up eating my words and think that it's awesome. And it very well could be. But, like, as far as Marvel as a whole, I've just been out, so I'm inclined to be negative. So, I'm sorry if that offends you, if you're any Marvel heads watching, but that's just where I'm at with this. So, all right, here's our final headline of the night. We got a teaser for Final Destination 6 Bloodlines. This is the whole teaser. It's just a fan spinning. It's very ominous. So this leads me to believe that we'll be getting a full-length trailer very soon. And I'm excited. I like the Final Destination movies. I think they're all pretty fun, with the exception of the fourth one. I think the fourth one is super shitty. But yeah, I think culturally, we're at a place in society where we need Final Destination. We need just some dumb, mindless, violence in a movie. And I think Final Destination is very well suited to give us that. So, yeah. That's where we're at with that. And that's all the headlines I have for you guys. Yeah, 4 is super bad, but I agree. I think the first 3 are like almost like, for what they are, almost like a flawless trilogy. Like, they're not trying to be anything elevated. Like, they know their lane and they stick to it well. Yeah, those first 3 are really fun, man. I kind of grew up on those. Those were some of the first horror movies I saw. And then there was one other thing. I don't know if there's any news on this yet. This was kind of starting to break literally as I was sitting down to do this show tonight. But it's physical media related. And it doesn't seem like we have any announcements for it yet. So I was seeing this on my stories on Instagram. And someone was announcing, actually, Mid-Level Media, our boy Ken, who was in the chat earlier, was announcing or was talking about that Zavi had put up a listing for the Nightmare on Elm Street 4K collection, which is rumored to come later this year. And apparently the rumor is that it's going to be all 7 movies, or maybe I think it's all 7. And there's going to be a steelbook set, and each steelbook is going to have unique artwork. So that's going to be cool. Probably going to be super expensive. So yeah, if we get more news on that, like this week, then we can expect to follow up on that on like the next week's episode of the Dispatch. So yeah, that's all like the physical. I keep forgetting to try to include more physical media news in here and not just have it be like movies and TV. So I'll work on that. But that's it, guys. That's it for this week's episode. This was a longer one. We had a lot of that, like the Scream stuff. I had a lot of thoughts on that. I'll probably only grab Nightmare 1 and 3. Yeah, I definitely want 2 because that's my favorite one. I love Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Yeah, we'll see. If there's an affordable option, like I'm definitely not buying 7 steelbooks. Like that's going to be insanely expensive. Old Restless, thanks so much for the support, man. I enjoy doing these. It gives me a structure and a schedule to adhere to. So to hear that people enjoy them really makes me happy. So You have a good night as well, my friend. All right, guys. So that's it for this week's episode of The Dispatch, episode 3. Thank you all for joining me. The chat was all very lively. I appreciate you all being here. And yeah, next week we'll have more headlines and we'll go over some stuff. So with that being said, guys, take care and watch more movies.